What's up, everybody? Welcome in to Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham, live here on a Monday, and we got a lot of stuff going on today. Some big NFL trade buzz circulating. Caleb Williams drawing rave reviews after his preseason debut, and a whole lot more. And today is the day Michael Horowitz is going to join the show at around 4:30 Central Time, so stay tuned for that. He has offered some tickets for us for the season opener to raffle off to a lucky winner, 2 tickets, so you could take your wife, your friend, your kid, whatever. We'll bring him on here in a little bit, do a little Q&A with him as well. So stay tuned for that. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from here on a Monday. Cullen, it was a fun Saturday watching Caleb Williams and the boys play for the first time.
Yeah, it was. Months of anticipation. I mean, we knew kind of from the early onset of the offseason that Caleb Williams was going to be a Chicago Bear from the moment he got drafted to, all the moments through training camp, the offseason OTAs. And, we finally got to see him in action. And, boy, did not disappoint. I mean, he had a couple of wild throws, a couple of piss missiles, some would say. And,
piss missile. I'm gonna get piss missile trending this year.
Yeah.
That's my goal. So
it was a good time.
We got LaCora, who's always trying to be punny, in Michael Horowitzville, Illinois. Nice, LaCora. Maryville, Indiana from Jeff. We got Alex Amerling in Oregon. Jacob in Kentucky. Joe P. in Arkansas. Billings, Montana from Bear Forever says Bear Down. What's up, Bear Forever? Robert Bowling in New Mexico. King Towers in Chicago. Tom in Lexington, Kentucky. Frank says Bear Down from Houston. Bob Killen in Palm Bay, Florida. Mark in Orlando, Florida. Crawfordsville, Indiana is where Braden's watching from. Roosevelt, Utah from B. JSMK in Hawaii. We got Sammy in Eugene, Oregon. Denzel in Tucson, Arizona. Wasim in Irvine, California. Valparaiso, Indiana is where Zachary is tuning in from. We got Tim in Park Falls, Wisconsin. Andrew in Oklahoma. Kokomo, Indiana is where Logan Bell is tuning in from. What is your excitement level for Caleb Williams right now? 0 being you're not excited at all. You're quite frankly a hater. 10 being you couldn't be more excited. And yes, 18s are acceptable in the comments right now. Wasim says 10. Williams says 9.9. 11 from B. JSM says 10. So does Dark. Kevin, Christian, 8 from Joe P. Terrell, Ethan saying 10 and 11. Braden says 11.5. Very specific there. 18 from Christian. No Object says 9. 19 from Corey. 8.5 from Zachary. Alex at a 20. I don't know how, Cullen, you couldn't be anything but amped up for this kid. I mean, it's one preseason game. We're not overreacting, but you can just see the talent when he plays.
Yeah. I mean, he showed really kind of all kind of facets of his game in only 2 drives, which is something that, you may not be able to get with certain quarterbacks. Caleb had it all. He had the short game. He had, rolling out of the pocket. He had in the pocket, throwing a strike DJ Moore down the sidelines. He had a scramble at one point, getting free and converting a first down for the Bears. So, and then just commanding the offense. I mean, yes, he did have the one turnover-worthy play, but, you got the ups, or the ups and downs, and you got the full Caleb Williams experience. And quite frankly, I'm happy that we got to see it, and I think he's going to be great, a great quarterback for a long time coming.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and it's just exciting times if you're a Bears fan right now. A lot of reasons for optimism moving forward. We'll get to our sponsors in a second, but shout out to Jacob, first super chat of the day. He says, Reddick wants too much money, in my opinion. Caleb, excitement is a 9 for me. Yeah, the whole Haason Reddick thing is interesting. I actually put a video out on my other channel, 4 Verts, breaking it down. Like, what are the Jets doing? You knew he wanted more money. You trade for him, and then you don't give him the money he wants. Like, you knew the situation. Whether or not the Bears would want to get involved, who knows? But we'll talk about him, Matt Judon, and everything else going on around the Chicago Bears here in just a little bit. But first, welcome back to Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks. for sponsoring today's live show. Football season is here, and listen, this is the time to get going with Prize Picks once again. Start setting your lineups during the preseason for season-long plays. You got Week 1 picks available for you guys as well. The way it works is simple. You select 2 to 6 players in your Prize Picks lineup, pick more or less on the projected stats, and place your entry. It all takes less than a minute. Go download the Prize Picks app today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. They will get you a deposit match up to $100. We'll get that link in the live chat for you guys. Rocket Money is also sponsoring today's show. And listen, you got to decide what you want to spend your money on. If you want to do it with Prize Picks, you can do that. But maybe you don't want to, have some of those streaming services anymore. What Rocket Money does after you download the app, rocketmoney.com/bearsnow, and sync up your bank account, it'll show you all your subscriptions on one screen, and you can find out how much money per month you're spending on those subscriptions, and it's probably way more than you think. They're saving customers up to over $700 per year if you maximize the abilities of this app. It's just a really financial savvy, user-friendly app. I use it all the time. Get going with Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Set budgets, negotiate to lower certain bills, and flat out cancel certain services that you no longer want with Rocket Money. Appreciate Rocket Money and Prize Picks. Okay, Lucas Prang says, would you do 3 years, $65 million for Reddick? I'd have to see the guarantees, but I'd consider it. I think 22-ish is the sweet spot for him. He is 30. He's a little undersized for a 4.3, so I wouldn't want to go. Like, Montez got 24.5 per year, and he's 3 years younger. I think he should come in under that. But he's an excellent pass rush specialist. I think he's had 10 or more sacks in the last 4 years, so he really knows how to get after the quarterback. I think if you could get him in that 20 to 23 per year range on a 2 or 3 year deal, I would certainly be open to that. Josh says, I think Booker is our answer at D end. We're going to talk about Austin Booker later as well. I think he's certainly flashed. I think you would agree with that, Cullen, but you got to factor that it's the preseason. You got to factor, it's probably mostly been against backups in these games. But I do think we've seen enough where, I think he will be in the mix come week 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine, kind of a round 4 draft pick?
Fifth-round pick.
Yeah, 5th-round pick. So, a later round draft pick, contributing and being a full-time guy from day one. But, I mean, compared to other guys on the roster, Tom Robb, he's shown flashes. So it's he's earned his spot on the roster for sure. He's definitely going to get some playing time. And, yeah, you're right. He did do it against, lesser competition. But who's to say he can't do it against other competition? We'll wait and see. But he's done everything he's really supposed to so far.
Yeah, I mean, I like the motor, the energy he brings. He plays with good power. So I'm excited to watch him these next couple of weeks. Aaron Wolf with the 5 as well says, Rookie of the Year, Caleb, book it. I had tears in my eyes watching this game. Already best quarterback of my lifetime in a Bears uniform. Cuddy and JF1 probably 2 and 3. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously he's got to do it when it counts, but I think from a raw talent standpoint, he's the most talented the Bears have ever had. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be the best they've ever had, but it's very attainable considering the history of this franchise with quarterbacks. So certainly a good start. It's preseason, but we'll see where it goes from here. We'll get to Zachary Super Chat, then we'll keep the ball rolling here. Zachary says, I was honestly skeptical about Caleb because of the JF1 failure plus the Roquan trade and not drafting D-line. But the more I watch Caleb, the more hope I have of this team being legit contenders in the NFC for years. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this roster is built to last. If Caleb Williams hits, this team is going to be a factor, and they're going to be a factor for a while. So get used to it. If Caleb's the real deal, this team is going to be good for years to come. Terrell Dudley says, I was at the Buffalo game this week, and I think Booker should be considered the next defensive end of this future with Sweat on the other side. Yeah, I mean, he could be. He could be. Draft experts thought if he went back to Kansas this year, played well, he could have been a first or second round pick next year. He's just a bit of a raw talent. So we'll see if they can develop him quickly and he can reach that potential here. Grade Valus Jones play at running back this past weekend. How did you guys think it went? A, B, C, D, or F? I would say it was like a B, B minus. Some good. He got taken down by the turf monster. I'm not sure he's ready to pass protect, but as just a runner, I think it looked pretty decent, Colin. Certainly better than receiver has looked.
Yeah, he seemed more comfortable. He definitely kind of had the nose for finding the hole, getting using his athleticism, using his speed, obviously on that touchdown run and everything. So, we've seen guys, make the transition from wide receiver to running back. So it's not unheard of. The only, question for Velus is can he make it stick? So
yeah,
I'll just have to wait and see. But, all points is that he's probably going to be competing with Ian Wheeler for that RB4 if the Bears are even going to keep 4 running backs. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Travis Homer in the mix there. A couple shout-outs, then we'll get to the super chat. Josh says B, Denzel, B-. Dark Cobra and Donald, C+. Aqua says B-. Terrell says B. Aaron Wolf, C. Todd, C+. Speaking of Aaron Wolf, says NFC North is easily the best division in football. I don't think you can say easily, but I think it could be. I think I would give the AFC North the edge, but the potential of the NFC North is excellent. I don't think any of the 4 teams are going to be poor. I think all 4 will be competitive, and it's going to be a battle. I mean, the schedule makers knew what they were doing, Colin, loading up these division games the second half of the season. I mean, it's going to be a battle and a war of attrition in this league. It's going to be fantastic as Colin figures out his audio over there.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting for sure. And I think, that week 2 matchup, obviously Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, that'll be a really big test.
Good test early. Good measuring stick game.
But yeah, we've talked about it all offseason, even when we're going through our Madden games. Like the first half of the schedule is definitely a lot of winnable games for Chicago, so they're gonna be, not necessarily test the hardest early, but definitely, hey, if you're on your P's and Q's and you're on, winning plays and everything, you can sit there and kind of stack 4, 5, 6 wins in that first 8-game period, and then you get into the tough half of your schedule. Hopefully, you've gelled at that point, and Caleb's really hitting his stride, so it'll be interesting to see.
All right, we got a lot to get to. Hit that like button as we're just getting started here on Chicago Bears Now. Appreciate everybody for rocking and rolling with us. If you want to support the show, hit that like button. And here's what we got coming up here on the show. Matt Judon, Haason Reddick, trade buzz. Could the Bears get in the mix? We'll dive into both those players and the latest news around both. Got some Bears-specific news and rumors. Caleb drawing rave reviews. Talking a little Austin Booker as well. Plus an interesting Nate Davis take out there that I kind of wanted to react to. Live Q&A with our guy Michael Horowitz. It'll be 4:30 or a little after. So if you're tuned in, Horowitz, could be a few minutes after 4:30. We're going to knock out the first 2 segments first, so keep that in mind. If you want to get your questions in from myself and Horowitz, use hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Super Chat guarantees your spot on the show. Hashtag Bears works as well. And then we've also got my brand new 53-man roster projection. We'll get to those also. All right, rapid fire on these last couple supers, then we'll start. Jose says, appreciate the 10. I apologize for saying we need to keep JF1 over Caleb. We finally got a QB. I'm excited. Off topic, who's your top 5 for fantasy football this year? Best Bear channel on YouTube. Jose, we'll get back to the fantasy part of this once Horowitz comes on because I want to get this show started. But you don't need to apologize. You're entitled to your own opinion, and I'm a believer that your opinions can change. You can say, I want to keep Justin, and then watch Caleb and say, actually, this is the right call. So no apologies needed. Appreciate that. Ditka says, da Bears. Appreciate the 5, Ditka. And then Big Block Chevelle with the first-time super chatter. Shout out to Big Block here. 5 jumping jacks. We'll do it here on a Monday. Why not? Thoughts on Swift and Roschon Johnson? I mean, Swift is the starter. I like Roschon, brings a physical attitude. A little banged up right now, but hopefully he is back soon. All right. There's Horowitz in the chat. Says he's waiting. It might be more like 4:35, 4:40, Michael, so keep that in mind. We're going to do these first 2 segments first, and then we will get you on. But let's talk a little Haason Reddick and Matt Judon as we kick off today's show. I'm Harrison Graham coming up on Chicago Bears Now. Could the Bears trade for Haason Reddick or Matt Judon? Both are in the NFL trade rumor mill right now. We will talk about both those guys and get you caught up on the latest news around each player here on Chicago Bears Now. But listen, before we do all of that, First off, thank you guys so much. We crossed 96,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 97,000. With your help, we can get there. And if the Bears make a big trade, we're going to go live. So hit that sub button, turn on notifications, and if the Bears take a swing for one of these players, we'll be going live, breaking it all down for you. Let's talk about the possibility of it coming up right now. Jets edge rusher, which is weird to say because he hasn't even played a snap for them. Haason Reddick has requested a trade from New York, and essentially this is because he has not received a new contract, which he knew, and the Jets knew that he wanted a new contract when they traded for him in March. So since he hasn't got one, he wants out. Now, the Jets released a statement after these reports dropped earlier today and said, "We have informed Haason that we will not trade him. He will continue to be fined per the CBA if he does not report." This isn't a Jets show, but I just have to get this off my chest real quick. I talked about this on my other show as well, 4 Verts. Check it out on YouTube. But this is just classic Jets. You traded for a player that you knew wanted a pay raise and an extension. It would not pay for his current contract, the final year of his deal, and you act surprised when it doesn't work out. I mean, think about this debacle that has taken place. Number one, you traded a conditional third-round pick for Reddick that can be a second in the 2026 draft. You have yet to give him an extension. You're surprised when he doesn't report to any of the offseason program and now training camp. And now, since no contract has happened, Reddick says, well, I have no choice but to request a trade. And then the Jets come out and say, yeah, we're not going to trade him, and he's going to continue to get fined per the CBA. Yeah, because that's going to motivate him to show up. It hasn't up to this point. Why would that start now? Now, since this is a Bears YouTube channel, should the Bears swoop in? I already received tons of DMs about it as soon as this dropped, and I do think from an X's and O's standpoint, just what teams, can absorb Haason Reddick's current contract and give him an extension and need another pass rusher, the Bears, in theory, do make sense in that regard. And he's been a very productive player. Now, he's fit historically much more as a 3-4. He's like 6'1", 6'2", 240, 245. He's not a, traditional 260, 265, 4-3 edge rusher. Doesn't mean it can't work. I think he's a talented enough player where it can, but I do think that should be mentioned here. Maybe the Bears don't view him as a X's and O's fit, but you can't decline or dismiss the production that he's had, 11 or more sacks in the last 4 years, including 16 in 2022. Now, I'm guessing that Haason Reddick at least wants top 10 edge money. And that means $22 million per year or more. And I understand him wanting that. I also think if the Bears were to get involved, you can't pay him more than what you paid Montez Sweat because he's 3 years older than Sweat, and he's not as good of a X's and O's fit. So I think it would have to come in less than that. But I do expect that he probably looks at this Bradley Chubb, $22 million. Yeah, I want more money than him. So I do think he wants top 10 edge money. So that's kind of what it comes down to. What's it going to cost you in a trade? Can't be more than a third. That's what the Jets gave up, and they have no position of power right now. And 2, what kind of contract are you giving him? How much money guaranteed are you giving him? This all comes down to roster construction, salary allocation. How much money does Ryan Poles want to invest in the edge position? He already gave one guy a huge contract. Does he want to give out another big contract? I think for the right deal, I would consider it. But again, I would understand if he doesn't want to do that right now. I want to know from you. Would you pay Haason Reddick top 10 edge money, $22 million per year or more on at least a 2-year extension? Type P for pay or W for won't. Would you do that deal, P for pay, W for won't? Let me know what you guys think. If it was 2 years, $45 million, 30 guaranteed, I'd probably do that. I mean, again, while you have Caleb on this rookie contract, you can be a little more risque with these contracts, but you don't want to, go crazy all in on a guy until you're 100% sure you have the quarterback. I feel good about Caleb. I'm not saying Reddick is the Khalil Mack type of trade in terms of commitment, but you got to factor all that stuff in. All right, coming up next, maybe Matt Judon is a more viable option. Is that the case? We will dive into that as well. But first, speaking of money and making decisions on how to allocate your financial resources, for you on a personal level, beyond the Chicago Bears' football team, Rocket Money is the app to help you do just that. Go download Rocket Money. RocketMoney.com/Bears now will redirect you to your app store where you can create an account, sync up your bank info, and they're going to have everything you need right in front of you on one screen. You can see all of your subscriptions on one screen, and most Americans think they're spending like $60-$70 per month on subscriptions. The reality is it's probably closer to $300 because you know what happens? You sign up for 2-week trials, you commit to all these things. I was paying for Xbox Live years after I was playing Xbox before I got Rocket Money. I canceled that. I signed up for like a golf trial app a few years ago when I was trying to watch one of the majors. Forgot that I did that. Got charged for a year, so I lost out on money, but I didn't lose out on more because I was able to cancel it with the Rocket Money app. They're going to help you stay on top of your finances. You can also use it to help manage and set budgets. You can negotiate to lower certain bills like your energy provider, your cell phone company. They'll find you competitive offers with other companies through the app. Check it out. It's awesome. If you use the app to its full potential, you can save up to $740 per year. Think about what you could do with over $700. You could go to a Bears game. You could go on a vacation. You could take your wife, your kids on a couple of nice meals. Get going with Rocket Money right now. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. It's RocketMoney.com/Bears now. Go download the app today. Get started. Link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Okay, Jeremy Fowler had the report just a little bit ago that multiple teams have inquired about trading for pass rusher Matthew Judon amidst his contract stalemate with the Patriots. Judon is due $6.5 million in the final year of his contract with New England. He says the Patriots have made a contract offer to Judon earlier this summer, which Judon did not accept. Are the Bears in the mix here? He's reporting multiple teams have reached out. It's hard to say, and it's interesting when you compare these two players in terms of what it would cost. Judon obviously spent last year on the sideline mostly with injury, but he's been a damn good player too. And even though he's played in more 3-4s recently, I actually think he would fit better in a 4-3 than Haason Reddick will. He's 6'3", about 270, so he's got enough size there, and he plays with speed as well. Now, you got to factor in a lot of things. Production, injuries, contract, trade compensation. Age is another one. Judon turns 32 next month. Reddick turns 30, I believe, this month. One of them's August, one September. I might be getting them backwards. But for their 2024 season, Judon will be 32 and Reddick 30. So if you're given an extension on top of the final year of their contracts, I think for either player, the max you would go is 3 years. And ideally, I'd rather do 2, even if you have to pay a little bit more per year, because you're talking about pass rushers at the age of 30 or older. You never know if they're going to decline quickly, because at certain positions, guys do start to decline quickly. What I do know is you could feel a whole lot different about this defensive line if you added one of these guys. I'm not saying Judon and Reddick are top flight pass rushers, but they're in that second tier. I mean, they're somewhere between 8 and 15 at their position, and they can flat out get after it. And even if neither of them defended the run at a super high level, we know Sweat's going to do that. So these guys could just pin their ears back, go get the quarterback. Sweat can be that kind of true 3-down player that can defend the run and go get after the quarterback. And all of a sudden, that front four is looking pretty good. You got Booker as a rotation guy now who seems to be coming on. So I don't know, man. If the price is right and you feel good about Caleb Williams, I certainly understand the appeal if you are the Chicago Bears. But you also got to be cautious and don't overreact and overpay if the value doesn't make sense in trade comp right now. Pick an edge. Who would you rather have given all the information? Type MJ for Matt Judon, HR for Haason Reddick. I think for me it's pretty simple. Who's going to cost less on an extension and in trade comp? I don't know how attainable Reddick actually is because the Jets just going to eat that pick right now. I don't know if they are because they're not going to get that back in a trade. I feel like Judon's more gettable. Patriots are rebuilding. He's 32 next month. I don't think he'd cost a crazy amount in an extension. Maybe get him at about $20 million per year, 2 years, $40 million. Like, that's pretty reasonable for him. And again, fit-wise, he's a bigger body. I think he would fit better. And New England kind of is similar conditions-wise with the weather that Chicago is. Now, Philly can get a little cold and windy too, but I just think the transition would be pretty easy for him. So, yeah, I think I'd rather go Judon. But again, I'd be interested in both guys if the price was right. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this segment. Matt Judon, Haason Reddick. We'll see if this goes anywhere. I feel like Judon's much more likely to get traded at this point in time, but we'll see where it goes. Bear down, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, Tito with the 5 says, the all-22 seeing Caleb Williams throw the ball to Rome on the side. Yeah, we got a little behind, so probably more like 440. Tito says, the all-22 seeing Caleb throw the ball to Rome on the side. Looks like Caleb saw it was a PI, threw it to get that call. That's some vet play. Yeah, there's been some debate on that one. I still think there's some level of risk there. And there was clearly contact, and it was an easy call. I actually initially thought, because where the flag was thrown, it was like away from Rome. Maybe the ref just threw it in the wrong spot. I'm not sure, but it was clearly interference on the defender defending Rome Odunze. It's still a little risky, though, because what if you don't get the call? I don't think the flag had been thrown yet when he got rid of the ball. So you're kind of, leaving a little faith in the officials there. So it's a little risky. But, yeah, I mean, if that's the biggest mistake he made is throw a risky ball on a play that clearly was an interference type of call, yeah, I mean, pretty good debut, right? Like, he was pretty flawless otherwise. All right, we'll get some shout-outs here, and then Horowitz, if you're watching, we're going to get into one more segment before we bring you on, so probably more like 4:40, so if you can hang with us here, that would be great. Who would you guys rather have? William says Reddick, Oliver and Anthony say Reddick. Steven says Judon, so does Christian, Pidge, Wasim, and Kobe. The live poll, Colin, 426 votes, 51% Judon, 49% Reddick. It is nip and tuck on who these guys want.
Yeah, I mean, you get pros and cons with both. Obviously, with Judon being the older player, I mean, you obviously don't have probably as long of a runway, but I feel like you do get maybe the slightly better player. I mean, it's up for debate, and, listen, Reddick provides a lot of advantages as well, and obviously clearly motivated by getting a huge deal, and, the Bears can't afford to pay him. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here.
Yeah, and what are the Jets doing, man? Like, it is just an all-time, debacle on their part. We have one more segment here. We were just telling Sam, so. All right, one more segment before we get to Michael Horowitz, a legend here at Bears Now. He's got a little – yeah, Michael, we'll admit you after this segment, and let's get this thing rolling, baby. So coming up next, we got some other news and rumors, more Bears-specific, Caleb Williams and whatnot going on. Coming out of his preseason opener, the latest on Austin Booker. And also, is Nate Davis a bench warmer at this point? We're going to get to all of that here in a second. Working on a couple things behind the scenes, and then we will jump into our next segment. Michael, if you're watching, I think if you're looking at the Zoom, you can see what's going on. I think we shared the screen with you, but cool. We'll bring you in after this segment, and then we'll go from there. So stay tuned. One more segment before we bring in Michael Horowitz, the legend himself. All right, here we go. Coming up on Chicago Bears Now, we got more reaction to Caleb Williams' debut, national media, Bills players chiming in, so exciting stuff there. Nate Davis, could he get benched permanently by Matt Eberflus and this coaching staff? And lastly, is Austin Booker ready for a notable role this season right away? Week 1 looks pretty good so far. We'll dive into those topics coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. But listen, our August likes record for most likes in a single episode this year is 1,559. It was our post-game show from Saturday after Caleb's debut, so that's going to be a tough one to beat. But that's my challenge for you. Can we get to 1,600 likes? Can we take down that video in likes on this show? If you think we can, if you want to try to make that happen, hit that like button. All right, let's talk a little Caleb Williams as he impressed in his debut against the Buffalo Bills in preseason week 1. Certainly displayed plenty of talent, throwing the ball, running the ball, different type of throws, pre-snap stuff. We'll kind of dive into it a little bit more here. But I think something that I really enjoyed was that even Bills players were impressed with what he was able to do. That report coming via Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback. He said, quote, couple of Bills guys I talked to were really impressed with what they were faced with in Caleb Williams. One went so far as to call him, quote, the real deal. In particular, his command in the huddle, pocket awareness, poise, accuracy, and instincts stood out to them. And I agree with all that. I think we saw all of those things. I mean, just a handful of things that impressed me, and certainly a few more things as well. This was my number one thing coming into this game. I wanted to have as little pre-snap issues as possible. I was more focused on the process and getting the play started than the results, right? Like, you got to get the play off the ground. That's number one to playing quarterback in the NFL. And not only were these plays getting started, he's making checks at the line of scrimmage. He checked out of a play to their second play. And for those who don't know, on almost every down, quarterbacks get 2 plays from their coaching staff. So if they don't like the look on the first play, they can check to the second one. He did that at least once that I noticed, which is impressive to see early on here. Played loose, played with confidence, which you saw in college. He wasn't timid. He was willing to fire some balls in there, so that was certainly nice to see. Poise in and outside of the pocket. Certainly saw that on full display with the rifle to DJ on third down. Quick game to Kmet that he dropped. Couple of bootleg throws on the run. The one to Kmet downfield was impressive. And then post-snap recognition. Shout out to that I'm Bearing Down account on Bears Twitter. He does some film stuff. He kind of did Caleb voicing over with his post-game answer on the scramble he was explaining after the game against Buffalo. And you could just tell he is starting to understand what he's seeing after the play start. He kind of explained, I thought the right safety was going to sag down and Damar Hamlin was going to kind of cheat over and play center field, and he thought he'd have a deep ball opportunity to roam, but they ended up playing too deep, and he saw that kind of the floodgates open, and he just took off and scrambled. So he's seeing things before the snap, after the snap. It's exciting. It's exciting. It's only preseason. I do want to make that caveat. It's just 2 preseason drives. I promised I wouldn't overreact, but it's a great start. He's certainly going to see more disguises and tougher looks once the real deal gets here, but I don't know how you come away from that anything other than impressed and optimistic, because the operation was clean. He threw the ball well. He made good decisions for the most part, and the results were there. So that's very, very exciting. What is your excitement level with Caleb Williams right now? Scale from 0 to 10. 0 being you still want Justin Fields. 10 being you are incredibly excited. You couldn't be more excited. I don't know how it's not at least a 9+, man. I mean, the excitement's palpable. The Bears are the talk of the town, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. From the positive side of things to the negative, if you will. Nate Davis, could he get benched permanently? Bill Zimmerman, who does some work with WC Gridiron, made the claim that they should bench him for good. I'll kind of read out what he said here in a minute and give my take as well. But first, do want to tell you guys that our sponsor of Prize Picks is back. Shout out to Prize Picks for returning for this football season, and it's just fun. It's fun. I've taken a couple months off in the offseason, but we're ready to go with football back. Preseason underway. Week 1 plays already available for you guys with Prize Picks. And think about week 1, Thursday night, Friday night with the Philadelphia game, Bears on Sunday, Sunday Night Football, Monday night. Lots of stuff to dive into with Prize Picks. And the way Prize Picks works, if you've never heard of it before, it's pretty simple. It's daily fantasy. You pick 2 to 6 players on your given lineup, and you can set millions of lineups. There's no limitations there. And you choose more or less on their stat projection. So for week 1, Caleb Williams, I'm taking the more than 236.5 pass yards. I also love Tyreek Hill more than 90.5 receiving yards. He always comes out the gates firing, and so does Tua. He's a great September player. So kind of a simple 2-player entry there. $10 to win 30. 2-player general entries. You get 3 times your entry on that one. But on certain entries right now, you can turn $10 into $1,000 today. So download PrizePicks at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Start playing today and earn that payout with PrizePicks. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. Link in the comments and description. All right, Nate Davis, Matt Eberflus called him week to week last week, which certainly was a change-up because earlier in the week last week they were starting to ramp him up. Flus said he felt it again, some kind of re-aggravation it would appear, and now he's in the week-to-week category. And if you've followed Matt Eberflus's press conferences closely over the last 3 years, when he says week-to-week, it almost is more like it's going to be at least a month usually. Now, maybe that's not the case here, but typically that's how that's gone. And Bill Zimmerman wrote an article and kind of just sounded off on how he feels about how this Nate Davis thing has gone. And he said this: it's time for Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus to be bold. It's time to bench Nate Davis. Not for 2 days, not for 2 weeks, permanently. Caleb Williams needs time to bond with his center. Having a rotation of Ryan Bates and Coleman Shelton is fine for now, but within the next week or so, the Bears need to settle on a starting center. Start Ryan Bates at right guard. Let Nate Davis settle in as your backup right guard. And honestly, I kind of agree. In fact, not kind of. This is kind of what I expect week 1, the starting offensive line to be. This is what I would go with. Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright are your tackles. Teven Jenkins is your left guard. Coleman Shelton, who I thought looked good on Saturday, is your center. Ryan Bates at right guard. He's played much more guard than center at this point. And Matt Pryor, who played on Saturday with the starters because Bates was a little nicked up, I thought he was solid at right guard. So, I'm not saying you cut Nate Davis because there's no financial benefit as long as he's not a distraction in the locker room. Even if he's not a starter, okay, yeah, it sucks he's a $10 million backup, but it's not the worst thing ever if he's at least a guy that if he's healthy and if a guy goes down, he could step in and play. But I just don't think at this point in time, investing and hoping that he's going to be a big part of your offensive line makes sense. So just make him a backup. Hey, Nate, your contract's your contract. We can't do anything about it until after this year. So you're a backup. If something changes, if a guy really struggles and you're healthy, maybe we give you a chance. But I would do what Zimmerman suggested. I've kind of suggested that as well, is just make Shelton the starting center. Bates is your right guard. If Shelton were to go down, Bates can slide over. And in that scenario, maybe Nate Davis plays at right guard, or maybe Matt Pryor does. But Davis at this point, you can't bank on him. So just roll forward with what you got. And the most thing I agree with Zimmerman on is pick a center. So Caleb Williams can get used to that guy specifically. You have a rookie quarterback. Let's just simplify it here. Hey, Coleman, you're the center. Bates, you're the right guard. If we have to make a change due to drastic measures, injuries, or major struggles, we will do that. But this is what we're rolling with because there's just been too many shuffling in recent years on this offensive line, which sometimes that happens, but let's try to stabilize it here. That is what I would do. We'll see if the Bears come to that conclusion very soon. Subscribe here. We bring you authentic Bears takes, my analysis, reaction to the latest news and rumors as well. Game day coverage with watch parties, pre- and post-game shows. It's all available for you. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. We will continue to plug out content. All right, let's talk a little Austin Booker. Is he ready for prime time? He's put together 2 solid performances in the preseason. Hall of Fame game against the Texans, he was pretty good and was even better against Buffalo. I thought he was really good against the Bills. And, it's kind of come to the point where can he play a notable role as a rookie? I don't think notable means a starter necessarily, but can he be a guy you give real snaps to? And look, a few things stand out to me from what we've seen with Booker. Number one, he has a relentless motor. Relentless. Go watch his All-22. He is firing to the football. If it's a pass rush situation, he is doing everything he can to get to the quarterback. If it's a handoff, even on the opposite side of the field, he is trying to run that player down. He plays with relentless effort, which you love. That's a Flus guy, by the way. Classic Flus guy. I've seen the power and length be on display. He's driving tackles into the backfield, mostly backups, but still, I mean, he's a guy that people view as someone who needs to add 10 to 15 pounds between now and next year, and he's already that powerful. That's impressive. And then defending the run is certainly a work in progress, and that's kind of where I get to this take. I think he's certainly shown enough where I think he can be a pass rush specialist for you as a rookie. Rotate in, coming on third downs, clear passing situations. But he's not ready to be a three-down player, I don't think. I think he's got a ways to go as a run stopper. And just being a fifth-round rookie who's still a little bit raw, he's not ready for 70% snap share. But can he play 30% of the snaps, 35%? If they don't add a pass rusher, he may have to. He may not have a choice, but luckily, with how he looks so far, looks like he might be able to handle that. So I think fifth-round pick, where he's at in his development, got to be pleased. Got to be pleased. How would you grade Austin Booker so far, A, B, C, D, or F? I think when you factor in where he was drafted, it's got to be a B+ or A-, right? Like, he's exceeded my expectations. I liked the pick. I thought he'd have a chance to be good. I didn't know he'd be this impactful early. Now, got to see it in the real deal. Preseason's preseason, but I think the Bears, based on what we know, have to be pretty excited about him. It's been encouraging. That's kind of the word. I'm encouraged. But it's a couple preseason games, and we got to see him keep stacking days and see if he can do it in the regular season. All right, appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, you can do so at HGramNFL. That's at HGramNFL. Same handle on Twitter, X, whatever you're calling it, at HGramNFL. And we can continue the conversation there as well. All right, we'll get a few shout-outs here, and then coming up in just a moment, we're going to bring on the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Michael Horowitz. So Dragon says B, Pidge says B+, William Bomer says A-, Josh says A+, Steven B+, Harley B+, Bozeman says B++, Bookers gets B's, B+ from Darius, A from Kevin. We got Jaron Thomas saying B, Dwayne Cole saying B. So let's see where it goes, man. I'm optimistic about Austin Booker. I'm optimistic about Austin Booker. Real Shake says B+. Zachary says A++ as well. Dark Cobra B-. Michael, if you're listening, producers working on getting you set up and everything. We'll get you on here in just a second. Charles says B. Skeptor says A-. Dark Cobra says B-. We got, who else we got in here? Charles saying B as well. Something just happened there, guys. Darius says B+. David B, Wall Street B+, Deshaun says C+. Load up your questions, by the way. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. If you want to get your questions answered on the show for myself and Michael Horowitz, we'll do a little Q&A session with you guys. So any Bears questions, if you have any Horowitz questions, let's keep them reasonable. We're not trying to dive into the guy's personal life too much here, but yeah, if you want to fire away, we will make that happen. Darren Chandler says, what have I missed? Well, we're about to get the legend himself, Michael Horowitz, on the show. I think they're working on some framing stuff right now. Jeff says A. Markel says B. Mr. Perry says Pryor greater than Davis. Matt Pryor, he's healthy. That counts for something. Here we go. I think we got him set up. Almost there, Michael, I'm being told. 1 second. Mr. Perry in there. Denzel says A. K9 says can't wait till the season. Jason getting his question in. Fire your questions. Sports news. Getting his question in there. Colin says they're working on it behind the scenes. It's a pin issue, Michael, so they gotta pin you so it doesn't kick you off the screen type of thing. So just give the boys a second here. Hey, Michael, just talk how you would normally talk. They're trying to test your audio real quick. Oh, there he is. I hear him in my ear, so that should be a good sign, right? All right. K9 in there. Want to just try and give this a whirl and see if it'll stay? All right, explain to me what's happening back there, because I'm trying to talk to the audience here. Okay, so they're trying. So they're trying to get it where, well, he says he's watching live. He can see everything. So is that? Oh, okay. Yeah, if you have it on a different, if you're able to see. Okay, so as long as you can hear me then, and we'll have the questions up anyway. We should be good. So yeah, if you have the stream pulled up like on a second screen or just to the right or something. Okay, cool. Let's just roll with that. All right, let's bring the legend in. Michael Horowitz, everybody. The man, the myth,
guys?
The legend. There he is. Can we get the booms in the chat for Michael Horowitz right now? Get the booms in the chat. He's on the show. And we were talking before the stream started, Michael, and you said you got a couple of our items back there. What do you got?
Yeah, we got the Ditka jersey right over there that I won a month or two ago?
Yeah, there you go.
And then somewhere back in there is the Bears helmet.
Okay, there you go. And you rocking a little FGB there as well?
Oh, yeah, dude. Always representing, man. Always representing.
Look at these guys in the chat. Wall Street, Apostle, Bears Goated, Lacora, Lando, Jacob, Luke. I can't shout out everybody. They're all booming you. So, listen.
I don't expect it.
Yeah, listen. You may not expect it, but it's happening. So that's that. Let's do this, Michael. We'll get into the Q&A in a second, and you guys fire away. # Bears Super Chat. Get your questions in. We'll talk some Bears football. Why don't you kind of, whatever you're comfortable sharing, share your relationship to the Bears and kind of what your connection's been to them and kind of what you're up to now, at least what you're willing to share. And then we'll talk about the about the tickets.
Anytime. So my name's Michael Horowitz, as everyone knows. I'm a former aquatic control coach with the Bears, Bengals, and Steelers. In 2021, I was a scouting assistant for the Chicago Bears. I started my career in 2017, or actually probably late 2016. Coach Foxy was still there.
Good times.
So I had an opportunity to work with Cutler for probably about 6 months and everything, learn the ropes. And I have a funny story to tell, too. So I was interning for like a year and a half. One of the funny things that happened was that when you're an intern, the coaches around you, it's kind of like being a rookie in the NFL, right? They make you do ridiculous things, right? And so the coaches purposely ordered a ridiculous amount of Dunkin' Donuts. I'm talking like yay big, like 12, right? And I'm also holding a thing of like coffee, right? Like a big, like one of those gallon things of coffee that you would bring in for like a party or something like that. So I'm getting off the elevator at level 2 at Hallis Hall, and I tripped and fell and dropped everything everywhere. And I was nicknamed Donut Boy. Just a funny little thing. And so that's kind of what I feel like that's what launched my career, because when you have a nickname, people remember you.
Yeah, they're exactly.
Even if it's bad or good.
You should have just like a month later been like, guys, that was intentional. So, but
it's better than being called Baby Gap or something like that. So
that's funny. So now you're doing stuff for Illinois, right?
Yeah. So right now I'm currently a data analyst and an assistant quarterback coach for the University of Illinois. I reside in Urbana, Illinois. I guess maybe too much information, but don't try to find me. I'm mysterious. I'm not available for everyone. But yeah, no, I love football. Grew up with the game. I remember going to my grandmother's house, God rest her soul. But I remember my dad. I wasn't into football back then, and I remember my dad just screaming from the other room, and he was scared, like, And so I realized at a young age that football was something I wanted to do. I also had a really good mentor at Stevenson High School. Stevenson High School is located in Lincolnshire, Illinois. Jalen Brunson and Aiden O'Connell both graduated from Stevenson as well.
Okay.
And I was actually Jalen Brunson's math tutor for about 2 years.
Do you have a this is kind of a sidebar. We can talk about this later. I don't know if this is even possible, but we have one of the biggest Knicks YouTube channels here at Chat Sports. Is there any chance you could link us with Jalen?
I personally don't know him. He's grown so big where he doesn't respond to DMs anymore.
You don't have contact.
He's a superstar.
All right. Well, if that ever changes, let me know. But yeah, that's dope. And now you're working for Bielema and the boys, so that's
we're hoping we're gonna launch it off. Was it August 18th? No, August 28th. We got Eastern Illinois at home. And then we have a few other games at home, and then we play Michigan at home for our 100th anniversary. Okay. And then we also get a chance this year to play Northwestern at Wrigley Field. So if any of your subscribers want to come to that game, come out there, support the Fighting Illini, Big Ten.
Yep.
Go Husky.
Kind of see who takes Chicago this year. Okay, let's. Why don't you set the table too for these tickets that we're gonna So we're gonna raffle off 2 tickets that Michael has been gracious enough to donate for Week 1. You get to see Caleb Williams' first start potentially. We'll have 1 winner. You could bring a boyfriend, girlfriend, depending whatever you got, kid, friend, uncle, whatever. 2 tickets will be available, and they're club level seats in section 204. You'll see Michael. You'll be there, correct?
Yeah, I'll be. I think I'm sitting. Let me see here. I got to look at my ticket here. It's actually a different app for me. I got the season ticket app right here.
Oh,
but I'm sitting in the north end zone, lower level. So come see me. Come visit me. Here, give me a few minutes here to log into this because Ticketmaster always logs you back out and everything. It's annoying.
You're good. That's why you roll with Game Time, man. That's why you roll with Game Time. But yeah, that's so what Michael's done here is what you really tried to do is you wanted me and some of the crew to come out, but we do these watch parties. It would have been tricky. We are going to we'll do a Chicago trip sometime though. That'll definitely happen. But I said, hey, listen, man, if you want to. If you want us to raffle them on the show, donate them, whatever. And he was like, yeah, man, let's raffle them off. So first of all, shout out to you for giving all of our subscribers that opportunity. For your chance to win, guys, subscribe and join us Saturday, and we'll just make it super cheap to enter the raffle, like $10. And
these comments are hilarious. I'm sorry, this is funny.
And someone will have a chance to win 2 tickets to Caleb's debut. I mean, I'm guessing a lot of entries will be in there, but $10 for a chance to get club level seats. I mean, that's a pretty good opportunity. And I'm not going to say out loud what I saw the face value were, but if you want to, that's cool.
They're pretty nice. They're pretty nice and pretty expensive, and they've gone up in price since then.
Guys, they are nice seats. Like I'm honestly in shambles. I can't go, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, if you guys want to get in on that raffle, the way you enter, guys, is join us Saturday. We'll be live for the Bengals game Saturday.
I promise I won't steal them. I promise I won't post any super chats. I'll just be silent, a silent crowd.
Yeah, if you decide you want to, we'll have like an MVP item or something, Michael. So if you want to try and win that, go for it. But, yeah, we'll make the raffle tickets just strictly for the rest of our audience subscribers, and the winner will get 2 tickets. Kyle says, not fair. That's 1 a.m. Sunday here. I'll tell you what, Kyle, and this applies to anyone tuning in. If you know already ahead of time that you
Where does Kyle live? I want to know where Kyle lives. It's 1 a.m. That has to be what,
London?
Europe?
Yeah, it's got to be London or somewhere in England. If anyone can't tune in Saturday for the game at noon, well, if it's noon Saturday, when would 1 a.m. be Saturday? That's like Australia, I feel like. Australia. Okay, Kyle, DM me or anyone else who can't make the game.
Bears fan in Australia. Holy cow.
If you can't make it Saturday, DM me, and we will work out a way to get you an entry. You could send me a $10 Venmo or something like that. We'll count that into the raffle. We'll get you in there somehow. If you want to enter and you can't join Saturday, DM me on Twitter or Instagram at HGramNFL. I'll have my producer Cullen put those links in there right now at HGramNFL. and we'll find a way to get you in the raffle. Just do it, but just reach out to me before Saturday, because once Saturday's here, I'm not checking my DMs before the game because I'm swamped. So this channel will be live, and a chance to win those tickets. So thanks again, Michael. And you want to talk some – actually, before we get into the Q&A, I'm just going to give you the floor. What's your takeaway on Caleb's debut and everything else going on with the Bears? You can kind of just run away for a couple minutes here.
All right, let me rant. So basically, expectations are high. I think Nick Saban said it best. When the expectations are high, it makes it harder for everyone around him to live up to those expectations. Mm-hmm. Offensive linemen, receivers, running backs. And then not even that, but you have your defense that has to keep up with everyone, right? So the defense has to show out. And I'm really hoping that on Sunday, September 8th, that by the second half, that offense will be humming away. I really think that too. But my takeaways directly from that game I saw on Sunday were that he looked smooth. He was a smooth operator. He was able to get out of the pocket, make some stuff happen, escape trouble, minus that holding call that started the game, right?
I actually thought that was his worst rep.
Absolutely insane. I think all of the Bears fans in Chicago and worldwide, I mean, I've gone to Mexico City a few times. Yeah, you see a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers stuff over there, but I saw people walking around. This is like 2 years ago. I saw people walking around with Justin Field jerseys, Marty Booker jerseys. Like, this is like a lot of the audience probably doesn't know who Marty Booker is, but a lot of those people over there, they follow the NFL just like us. In fact, they actually have a league called the LFA, which is sponsored by the Canadian Football League down there. And there's a few people actually that were former NFL that play in that league right now. I think Chad Ochocinco played a year down there recently, actually.
I think Terrence Williams played down there actually last year. So yeah, that's awesome.
And there was a guy from TCU, that former TCU quarterback. I forgot his name.
Trevon Boykin. He played with
Taj Boykin. Yeah, he played for the Galitos or something like that.
Played with
I think
Williams.
All the Bears fans should be really excited. This is something that we've been waiting for my entire life. I'm 28 years old, almost turning 30 in 2 years. I've been waiting for something to happen for a long time. And he looked clean. When I mean clean, he operated. He did exactly what he had to do with the football. There was that one really close interception where he got bailed out by the PI call. But he looked great. He ran the plays that the coaches called. He made blocking assignment calls at the line of scrimmage. He broke the huddle in a timely fashion. And I think those were some of the things that a lot of people were worried about when he started training camp. And he's made from here to here, he's made a humongous incline and just being able to break the huddle. And then keep in mind, in college, a lot, even here in Illinois, we have signs, we have hand gestures that we give the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And so when you go from doing that to actually having to remember the play that's in your headset, remember, they have the headset in their head, and you have to be able to call the play in the huddle and break the huddle in a timely fashion. He executed. And that's the word I would use. He executed every single time he had the opportunity to make a play.
It's usually 2 plays, too. They usually give quarterbacks
like 3
plays.
It was like 3.
Sometimes 3, and they're like, and these plays are like good. 15 words long. So yeah, it's a whole different deal, and it's exciting. Collin, we'll save these super chats for the actual Q&A here. Let's dive into this, Michael. You ready to take some questions from the audience? I'll kind of tee up the show, and I'll kind of shoot it to you for your input on some of these as well, and we'll kind of get it started. So I'll do.
I got one right here. I'm looking at it. It's called from Bears Goated.
Okay.
So Michael's actually spelled Michael, no space. I'm just messing with you. But basically, I went to Northwestern. I did a sports business management class, and it was an internship, or it was a certificate program. So it's not a degree. It's something I have to keep recertifying myself for.
Oh, okay.
But once I was able to get the job with the Bears, which is another interesting story I'll get into in a minute. But once I got that job, I shut up and I just listened. I didn't talk. There were times when we were in meetings with and a lot of these coaches are, in their mid-40s. Now I was, 22, 20, 21, something like that. And so I realized at a really early point that the only way for me to get to a higher level was just to listen to what everyone's saying, how they talk, the verbiages, the big words. And I realized from a really early point that you have to just sometimes shut up and listen to what everyone else is saying.
That's great.
Ask questions when they need to be asked. Yeah. Verify things. But getting back to your original question there, so basically I went to Northwestern, got a sports business management certificate, and basically at the end of the year or at the end of the class, you were able to kind of sign up from a 1 to 10, how bad do you want it type of thing. And so basically what I was able to do is I was able to, I wouldn't say finesse, but I was able to get the job or the internship of the Bears. And there were 17 of us. And every few weeks they would like let a few people go. It was almost like being a rookie in the NFL where, hey, coach wants to see you, bring your playbook and everything. Well, nowadays it's a tablet.
Yeah. Tablet.
But yeah, no, I lucked out, and I would tell everyone that if you want to become an NFL coach, it's never too late. I coached Pee Wee in like 2017, 2018. And, I learned a lot from those guys over there, even though it was Pee Wee football, a lot, obviously, a complete different game. And so one of the things I learned was that you have to listen and you also have to just go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. And, I was with the Bears until, I went around for a little bit. So I was with like I said, I was with the Bengals, Steelers, and I briefly had a stint in Buffalo as well. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, you just live out your dream, do what you got to do, That's what I tell all the subscribers.
Exactly.
Never give up.
Exactly. We'll flash a couple questions here, Michael, and kind of just respond to the audience a little bit here. Colin, if you want to go ahead and flash Bears Goated. I know Michael just answered that one, but we want to get that on screen for him, at least give him kudos for sending
give him kudos.
that
Hell yeah.
one in. There's Bears Goated. Appreciate the 5. Michael just chimed in on that. Let's go to Aaron Wolf here. Keenan Allen looked a little slow coming out of his breaks. I don't know. Do you watch the QB school at all, Michael? The JT.
Oh, I'm a big JT O'Sullivan fan, man.
He mentioned that on one of the routes Keenan ran. I'm not going to put too much weight into that, and here's why. Keenan Allen hasn't played in the preseason in 4 years. Like, I'm not going to judge anything he does until week 1. I know he's a little older, and in theory he could kind of decline at any moment, but let's see, starting with the Titans game, how Keenan Allen performs. I think he's going to be just fine. I'm not saying he was half-assing it out there, but I'm not concerned about Keenan Allen.
I agree with you, Harrison.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal at all. Let's see what Isaiah. Oh, Isaiah says, boom for Horowitz. He's calling you the GOAT, Michael. He's the GOAT. He is the GOAT. Listen, Sealand and Michael Horowitz in the history of this channel, the two biggest GOATs. It's kind of been 2024 has been the year of Michael, but it's you guys are awesome. So appreciate y'all's contributions. Let's see what Steven has to say here. He says, what are we looking at most this week with joint practice and game with Cincy? Let me ask you this, Michael. I saw the Bengals today, and the Bears did this last year. The Bengals have already come out and said they're probably not going to play their starters against the Bears after the joint practice. Would you still play the Bears? I still think Caleb should play a couple drives this week on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. He has to play at least 2 or 3 drives. I think, you have to ramp him up because this is the last preseason game, if I'm not mistaken, right? They're down to 2, right?
Yeah, 2 more. I got the Chiefs next week as well.
Oh, so it's 3. Oh, well, you exclude the Hall of Fame game. It's only 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think he has to get those snaps. He has to, even though he looked really good in the game against the Bills, I really personally don't think the Bills had that much depth on their roster. So that's why you just saw some of these 3rd, 4th string guys they were just having their day out there on defense. And on offense, our 4th string quarterback looked like a starter in the NFL. So, one of the things I always say is that, and I think you've repeated this multiple times, this is only the preseason. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But I think one of the most important things that you can do is basically just so I got to fly in here.
Oh, you're good.
bothering me.
Reminds me of
but one of the most important things that you can do is get the guys ready. Make sure those guys are getting their snaps, because in the NFL, if you are not ready, and one of the things I heard Foxy always say is like, don't come to training camp getting ready for training camp.
Yeah, be ready.
Be prepared outside of camp, because you're not going to have the opportunity to warm yourself up. I mean, you stretch and everything, but I'm just saying, like, get that tempo going where you need to really start moving stuff along and doing all these things, and the expectations get higher and higher and higher. And there's a lot of older guys where they kind of let off that gas. They let off the gas pedal a little bit once they get comfortable with their situation. And all of a sudden, I'm cut. Now I'm a free agent. I'm not making any money. And in the NFL, there's an old saying where the NFL stands for not for long, and I always remember that too. So always put your maximum effort in, as Deadpool would say.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Brian here. We'll get a few more in. Brian says, "What do you honestly think about Ian Wheeler?" I like the way the kid runs, Michael. He breaks tackles. He's physical. He's fast. I don't know what the Bears will do, but I would like to see him get reps earlier in the game against better players and see if he looks the same, because I don't know, you put him out there with the twos, see if he can make some things happen. I like what I've seen so far out of him. He's been pretty impressive to me.
Now, are the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, the Bengals, are they resting their defensive starters as well?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a finalized plan. It sounds like for sure Burrow's not going to play, which I get that, but I don't know if they're going to rest their starters. But I think Wheeler should get more reps early in these games to see what he can do. It almost reminds me of a Tyson Bagent situation from last year, whereas Bagent started camp as the fourth guy, but the more time went on, it was like, this guy's better than P.J. Walker. This guy's better than Nathan Peterman. I'm not saying Wheeler's not going to beat out DeAndre Swift or probably even Herbert or Roschon, but could he be close enough to where you consider trading Khalil Herbert, or could he beat out Travis Homer? Like, I think he could do that potentially, so I would like to see him get more opportunities.
One of the things about PJ, I think he came out of Liberty or Temple, right? They run like a college spread type of offense, which doesn't translate very well to the NFL, definitely when you're trying to look at things down the field. So one of the things I think that Shepherd University did really well with Tyson was the fact that he basically ran almost a pro-style offense. There wasn't a lot of spread. I mean, there'd be your occasional read option, your QB option, things like that. But you didn't have them just always running the ball. And, it's almost like Oregon. A lot of Oregon quarterbacks, they don't really pan out very well in the NFL. It's because they run that type of spread offense, which is great in college, but it's very predictable in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
so one of the things,
there's always exceptions, right? Like Mahomes came from an offense that never produced NFL QBs, but
he had the arm talent. Yeah, he had the arm talent. He had the ability to make the throws. He can make it. I've seen in person. I've been on the sideline, and I've seen that guy lob a 60, 70-yard ball down the field, and then it goes for rack.
Well, Caleb's the same way, right? I mean, he comes from that Lincoln Riley offense, but like you could just see the physical talent, so that has a better chance of translating, obviously. Darius Johnson is asking, how would you grade the play calling so far in the preseason? I like what I've seen from Waldron. They're not going to give away too much in the preseason, Michael, but you're seeing a lot of different personnel groupings, multiple tight end looks, spreading things out, I formation, single back. Like you've seen kind of a little bit of everything from Shane, which is a breath of fresh air if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you do for rookie quarterback, and this is one of the number one things you always do, is that you build the play calling around the quarterback's abilities, what he's good at, what he excels at. And that's one of the things that have been missing for the past, for like Trubisky and Fields. One of the things that was always going on is that you had a guy that comes into the building with a playbook and he says, this is what we're going to do. Right? He wasn't a quarterback developer. He wasn't someone that was going to change what he's trying to do to fit the scheme and the strengths of the quarterback. Shane Waldron seems like the type of guy that would just he he builds things around Caleb. Does that make sense? And he does these things where you see these bootlegs and everything where he goes around,
They're playing to his strengths.
There was this one play that JTL Sullivan broke down. I think it was like the first or second play of the game where it was like a rollout by Caleb, and Caleb pulls the ball in front of him. You guys should go look this up. But he holds the ball in front of him away from the defender, out of the defender's grasp.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things of small, very minute things that are going to make the difference between being successful in the NFL and being a complete bust.
I mean, he said he'd never seen that before, which is just kind of crazy. That guy's watched I don't know.
Yeah, he's a former. He was on the Bears roster in 2005. He was in the Bengals. He even played in the NFL Europe for I think a year.
He's probably watched 100,000 hours of film, if not more.
Oh yeah, that guy knows exactly what he's talking about, and it's something that I'll come home from a busy day at work, and I'll sit on this same computer that I'm talking to you on, and I'll just pull up some JTL Sullivan stuff. And I'm in fact a part of his Patreon, so
nice.
I get some of the videos early, so I get to dig a little bit deeper into some of the things that he breaks down. One of the cool things too about Caleb is that he said in his video about Caleb's preseason game, just after watching, he says, "I think all the Caleb videos are going to be behind a paywall."
I was like, you're going to get
the way he's able to move things and do things is just.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
I've never seen it.
Deshaun is going to get the last question here, Michael. Then we'll let you go. Appreciate you hanging out. He says,
"I got to head to work soon anyway."
There you go. Last one here says, with the extra cap space for DJ extension, is it more likely the Bears address the O-line or the D-line? If you had to pick right now, Michael, you could sign one guy, either name a player or a position or a trade that you would like to add to this team. I know when we were talking on the phone earlier, you said you don't want to swing too big in a trade, but would you rather go O-line or D-line right now if you had to add a piece? It's a tough call.
Ooh, that's difficult. Yeah, that's a tough question.
I thought the O-line played pretty well Saturday, by the way. The pass protection held up nicely. Preseason game, but I do think
the D-line, the defensive line definitely needs a little bit more bolstering, specifically at like the nose tackle position, because you have what's his name? Javon Dexter.
Yeah,
Javon Dexter Jr.
Yeah.
And I think you don't really know what you're going to get out of him in the regular season. And I'm a big supporter of bringing back Yannick Ngakoue. I mean, I don't know what his plans are in life or what he wants to do for his NFL future. But if I'm Eberflus, you need another good 3-technique tackle. I'm sorry, I just got to say it right there. Eberflus, when he was in Indianapolis, he had the Forrest Buckner, I think it was, and that was one of the people that really helped him out with that defensive scheme.
Yep.
And you don't have that elite nose tackle that you could. And then I'm going off a tangent. You started something here you can't end. But one of the things that made Julius Peppers really dangerous was the fact that you could bring him around from each side to each side. Yeah, he was good playing wherever you wanted him to play.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's the priority right now for the Bears. You got to figure out a thing for the defensive line. But on the let me play devil's advocate here. If you do lose an offensive lineman in the first or second, third game of the season, you are going to be looking at a serious issue there that can compound into Caleb not having a good season himself.
Yeah, you don't want
And I think this team has playoff aspirations. I mean, look at the offense, look at the receivers. You have Cole Kmet, Romeo Odunze, you have Keenan Allen, you have DJ Moore, and then you have Cam Johnson. Or I keep drawing a blank on his. I got the roster right here.
Collin Johnson.
It's not Calvin Johnson, is it? Collin Johnson. Okay.
I wish it was Calvin Johnson.
You have guys like that. He's 6'6", 245. You have a big body guy to complement all those some of the smaller dudes on the offense. I think you're loaded. There's no reason not to do what you got to do here and win a few games and push your way into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what Ryan Poles does. Well, Michael, thank you so much. Josh gets the last word here, saying it better than me. He said, thank you, Horowitz, for doing this, and thank you, Harrison and Colin, for this. Y'all care about your subscribers. Listen, Michael has supported us greatly for a long time now. He wanted to donate some tickets for us that, again, we'll raffle off on Saturday. So be sure to join us then. If you can't join the stream Saturday, hit me up in DMs. We'll figure something out to enter you into the entry if you want to get in there. Mike, thanks.
One more thing.
One more thing.
So I wanted to say this. So I have another thing I would like to raffle off potentially, but you could DM me between me and you.
We can do it on a different stream. Okay, yeah. We'll talk. All right, get the booms in the chat for Michael. Round of applause to the legend, and best of luck to Illinois this year, to the Fighting Illini. Hopefully they go bowling, and we'll talk to you down the road, all right?
All right, adios, buddy.
All right, there he goes, Michael Horowitz, a real one. Take care, man. There he goes. Shout out to Michael Horowitz, and that was fun. Good stuff there, and thanks again to him for donating those tickets that we're going to raffle off on Saturday. So it should be fun. All right, we do have one more segment to go if you want to stick with us here. My latest 53-man roster projection, and then we will get out of here. So stick with us another 15 minutes or so, and we will jump into that. Cullen, the man, the myth, the legend right there, Michael Horowitz.
Yeah, I really hope he – I don't know if I'm – you hit me? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We got you.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't know live stream because the man knows ball. He might be coming for my job soon. So shout out to Horowitz, man.
That was fun.
Absolute legend, man.
That was fun. Good stuff.
That was a fun time.
All right, let's get into our final segment, then we'll get out of here on a Monday. I did want to mention, too, I'm going to go live again tomorrow night from my house for Hard Knocks Episode 2. Had some fun last week, so if y'all want to join me again this week, we'll go live after Episode 2, so be on the lookout for that as well. All right, 53-man roster projection coming up here on Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I take a look at an updated Bears 53-man roster projection. Ryan Poles told us at the beginning of training camp it's going to be tough to make this roster. I think we're seeing that play out. So here's my latest attempt to come up with the 53. Let's start with quarterback. I debated back and forth. Do you keep Brett Rippon on the 53? Do you just roll with two guys? I'm sticking with just two for now. We only saw Rippon play one series in the third preseason game. I think it's clearly a gap there still between Bagent and Rippon in the Bears' eyes on who the backup is. Bagent's young. They've invested into him. So I'm going to go Caleb and Tyson as the two guys in the 53. Not ready to include Rip at this time. Could that change? Possibly. But I also think the Bears might feel like they can get him back to the practice squad as well, where his real value is in that QB room, on the sideline, in those meetings. And with the new rules this year, you can have a practice squad quarterback dress on game days, and if your top two QBs get hurt, the third guy off the practice squad can go in and play and not count against the game day roster. So I think that's ideally what the Bears are going to try to do this year. What do you guys think? Should Brett Rippon make the 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Whether or not he should remains to be seen, but I certainly have enjoyed what I've seen from him so far, and I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I just think right now I have him on the outside looking in. This is where things get interesting. Running back, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert for now. I still think a trade could happen. Roschon Johnson. I'm going to list Velus Jones Jr. with the running back grouping here, but I still think he has the ability to play some receiver, obviously, as well. And I think the Bears giving him reps at running back is to try to increase his value on this roster, because if they are set on him being the kick returner, if he could play at least some receiver and running back. Obviously, he's not going to run the full route tree. Obviously, they're not going to play him a ton of snaps at receiver, probably not a ton at running back, but if he could give you 10 snaps a game offensively, 6 or 7 at running back, 3 to 5 at receiver, that gives him value beyond just being a good kickoff returner. So I think if he shows continued progress at running back, they'll keep him on this team. And look, I thought about keeping Travis Homer. For now, I don't have a spot for him. And also, I think a notable cut here, too, that I have is Kari Blasingame, which means the Bears would not carry a fullback. And in the preseason, while he's played some, it hasn't been a lot. And Shane Waldron didn't really utilize a fullback last year. If they ran I formation, they had a tight end to line up at fullback, which the Bears could easily do. Stay tuned for tight end. But I think there's a variety of reasons for this. I think going heavier at tight end has more value on special teams with this new kickoff rule than what Blasingame could bring. So I think there's a chance that Kari gets cut here. Let's go to wide receiver. I'm actually just going to go 5 right now, because Velus is that 6th guy, right? See, again, he can play some receiver. He knows the position. He's not great at it, but if you need him to go out there and line up and block and run some routes for you, he can at least do that. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Tyler Scott, Collin Johnson. And again, I think the Bears might look at this thing like, okay, Velus gives us one body to be a depth piece for 2 positions. So I think they could get away with this number. I don't have DeAndre Carter making it right now. I need to see more. He hasn't done much within the offense. I haven't seen him make a big impact as a punt returner yet either. So I think right now you can live without having him. You could line someone else at punt returner. Josh Blackwell could do that. Maybe Rome Odunze does it some. We'll see. Obviously, I'd like to have a steady and dynamic presence as my punt returner, but if Carter's not going to be dynamic, well, maybe they just find someone else to go catch the ball when punts go out there, because if he's not going to be a weapon there, what's really the point if he's not giving you much on offense? All right, tight end. I'm going to go 4 here. This is the first time I've gone beyond 3. A couple reasons. One, obviously Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis. They're all making the team. But one, we've seen Shane Waldron use tight ends in the preseason. He clearly values the position. If you look at his time in Seattle too, and even with McVay in Los Angeles, those offenses always like having multiple tight ends. We saw plenty of plays on Saturday with both Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett in there at the same time. Mercedes Lewis being a little bit older. And again, if you cut Kari, I think having a 4th tight end makes sense, where you can line a guy up at fullback. And Tommy Sweeney is 6'5", 255 pounds. I thought about Brendan Bates, which we'll get to some practice squad potential names here as well. The UDFA out of Kentucky, but Sweeney's got experience. I think he's looked the best out of that depth group in the preseason, better than Stephen Carlson and Brendan Bates, 5 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. And he's a big physical guy, and with this new kickoff rule, it requires having big bodies, guys who can set blocks and hit people. Not saying Kari can't do that, but he's not as big. He's not as long. He can't reach as many guys out there. So keeping that 4th tight end could be valuable. And, you know, if he can be 85% of the fullback Kari Blasingame is, then, you know, you probably live with that 15% you're losing there, because you're not going to have a fullback on the field a ton anyway, if we're being completely honest. Who do you think makes this roster? Could be neither, could be both. Who would you rather keep? Type KB for Kari Blasingame, TS for Tommy Sweeney. It's not about what I would rather do. It's what I'm thinking they're going to do right now, and I think going heavier at tight end is something they might consider as well. So I'm going to type my TS. I like Kari, but they just haven't utilized him much. They didn't use him much with Getsy either, so we'll see where it goes, but certainly both guys have a chance here. Offensive line, I've got 9 guys. We'll get to Karan in a second, but left side is my projected starters for now, from left to right: Braxton, Teven Jenkins. I think they settle with Coleman Shelton at center, Ryan Bates at right guard, but either way, they're both going to make the team. Darnell Wright at right tackle. I still think Nate Davis makes this team almost no matter what, because there's no financial benefit to cutting him. Matt Pryor makes it as well. He's already shown his value both as a tackle and guard. I've had Larry Borum not make it on my last projection, but I think with Amagaji not being ready to go, I think you keep Borum for now. And then Jatiri Carter, he's kind of your last depth interior guy who makes it once again. And then reserve list, which is kind of a phrase of this new rule, rookie Karan Amagaji, who wouldn't count against your initial 53, assuming he's still not healthy yet, which as of now that appears to be the case. Remember, the competition committee announced this: to permit each club to place a maximum of 2 players who are placed on an applicable reserve list on the business day of the final roster reduction to be designated for return. Such players will immediately count as 2 of the club's total designations. So you have 2 spots where the day of cut down day, you can declare as guys who essentially go on short-term IR designated to return. Before, if you knew guys were hurt and weren't going to be ready week 1 and you had to put them on short-term IR, you had to carry them on your initial 53 and then bring them back the next day, essentially place them on IR, then you could bring someone back that you cut, but there was always a risk that someone you cut got claimed. So I think Amagaji starts on this list. I don't think he'll be ready week 1. And even if technically he is fully cleared, I could see the Bears still putting him on this list because he just needs practice and he needs to ramp back up. He hasn't played in a football game since October, and that was at Yale. Like, there's already going to be a learning curve just from getting him from the Ivy League up to the NFL. So I think this is a perfect rule designation for him. Put him on this reserve list, and you can carry someone else through your initial 53. All right, we are sponsored by Rocket Money here on Chicago Bears Now. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's show. And if you're looking to stay on top of your finances and scale back on your spending, Rocket Money is going to help you do that. Go download the app today with our link that's in the comments and description of this video. It's rocketmoney.com/Bears. Now, it's a personal finance app that will help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I use Rocket Money all the time. I've canceled multiple subscriptions I have because I realized, like most people do, I was spending like $250 a month on subscriptions. Most people think it's like 65. Trust me, it's more. Don't believe me? Download the app and you'll be amazed. But they'll help you cancel those subscriptions. You don't have to work directly with customer service. Rocket Money is kind of a middleman for you. They can help you set budgets. They'll send you alerts throughout the month to see if you're staying on top of your spending. If you need to scale back or if you have some wiggle room, they'll kind of let you know that as well. Rocket Money is saving customers who utilize the app to its full potential over $700 per year. They've saved people $500 million total dollars for their 5 million customers by canceling subscriptions alone. Take advantage of Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/Bears now. And it's just a nice financial app too. Like, even if you're not trying to do specific budgets or anything, it's just easy to monitor everything you got going on with your finances. So take advantage. Go download the app right now. Okay, let's go to the defense now. I think this is kind of the hardest group to figure out right now in terms of projecting, but Montez Sweat, Trevon Dexter, Andrew Billings, DeMarcus Walker, obviously Austin Booker, Zach Pickens, those top 6, they're locks to make the team. So that's easy. I got Byron Coar in there for now as a 4th defensive tackle. He flashed in the Hall of Fame game. Didn't do much last week, but I've got him in there for now. Dominique Robinson looked better in the second preseason game, so I've got him making it. I have Jacob Martin as a 5th defensive end. Now, he's been banged up. He could also be a candidate to start on the reserve list, but I think he could be back before week 1, so I've got him as my 9th guy right now. But the defensive line depth is tough to figure out. You've got Khalid Kareem in the mix, Daniel Hardy. Do they sign a veteran or trade for somebody? I think after you get beyond those top 6, who, like I said, are locks, it's kind of still up for grabs. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see how many guys they keep. Do they go lighter at defensive tackle initially and then maybe claim someone off waivers after cutdown day? I think that's possible. But, yeah, we'll see where things progress from here. What do you guys think, though? Will the Bears sign or trade for a defensive lineman, type S for sign or P for pass? Still think it's possible, but I also think they like what Austin Booker and some of these other guys have shown, where they're going to be patient and kind of see where this thing goes. A little bit different look at linebacker here. I'm going to go 5, which is the number I've been throwing out there, but obviously your top 3, T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jack Sanborn. Amino makes the team as a special teamer. He also played better this week at linebacker. That was encouraging. Micah Baskerville was the Bears' highest graded player per PFF last week. Now, when you have a nice pick 6, that's going to help, but I like how he plays, man. He's got a safety background. He can cover well. Good enough tackler. I think he's worth investing into. And Noah Sewell's banged up, so I've got him as that second reserve list guy right now. I'm not sure what his status is, but maybe you sneak him onto there if he's not ready to go. And, you've got him and Amagaji on that short-term IR, and you see how the early part of the season plays out. But I think Baskerville can give you some juice on special teams, can be a solid backup. So I'm rooting for him. They brought him in as a UDFA last year, was on the practice squad, did some good things in training camp, and he's doing it again this year. So let's see if that continues. Corner, probably the deepest position group on this team. I'm going 7, man. Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Terrell Smith. Jalen Jones, who's played some with the starters due to injuries. He's looked pretty good. Josh Blackwell, who's in the mix at punt return as well. He's one of your core special teamers. And then Greg Stroman Jr., who I know for a fact they like. For him, it's going to come down to can he play well enough on special teams. They're deep at corner, man. That doesn't even include Leon Jones and Reddy Stewart, 2 rookie UDFAs, who I mentioned on a recent show. Could they be sneaky replacements for Blackwell and Jalen Jones? I think Jalen Jones is safe for sure, though. He's played a lot with the starters. Blackwell, if he's in the mix at punt returner, probably makes it also. Greg Stroman's kind of that guy. Like, does he make it? Do they keep 6 instead of 7? We'll see. But a lot of guys they like at that position, and guys I like too. So we'll see how they manage that. Subscribe to the channel. Bears football is back, and we are publishing daily content for you guys, trying to get to 97,000 subs here on the channel as soon as possible. The road to 100K is here. If you want daily coverage for free, hit that sub button. All right, 5 safeties, so yeah, it's 12 defensive backs. That feels like a lot. I think in the end that probably will be too many, but that's what I have today. Byard and Brisker as your starters. Jonathan Owens, your number 3 guy. Elijah Hicks, who looks improved, plus plays on special teams, and Quindell Johnson. He's a good special teamer as well. I think 5 safeties is the sweet spot. They could go 4. Maybe they pick Hicks or Johnson, but I think 5 is where you go here. And then you got your 3 specialists. Cairo Santos is your kicker. Torrey Taylor is your punter. And, of course, Patrick Scales is the long snapper. Before we get to some practice squad names, drop a name in the comments. Name a player that seems to be on the roster bubble that you would like to make this team. The guy I'm rooting for is Micah Baskerville. I think he's earned it. I get the Bears are good at linebacker, but 2 off seasons in a row now, he's done good things. Like, he's earned a roster spot, I think. Now, I get it. Good players get squeezed out, and like Ryan Poles said, it's going to be tough to make this team, but, I mean, he's shown you more since Noah Sewell. They were both rookies last year. I think Baskerville's looked better. Sewell's hurt right now. I'm not saying you cut Sewell. You can put him on the reserve list, but, you know, at some point, like, just because you drafted a guy, like, you know, you got to keep the guys who deserve it, and I feel like Baskerville has. All right, some practice squad candidates here. I think both your quarterbacks that didn't make it on the 53, Brett Rippon, Austin Reed, are guys I'd like to keep around. Rippon is kind of that veteran presence. Reed is that rookie UDFA that you can develop a little bit. Ian Wheeler, he was close to making my projected roster, but running back's so crowded right now, certainly would want him back on the 53 if he does, or on the practice squad if he doesn't make the 53. I'd like to keep DeAndre Carter around if he doesn't make the team because, you know, if you're having issues at punt returner, you could elevate him on game day, or maybe you call him up to the 53 later in the season. Sima Webster, they like. I think they'd keep him around in the practice squad. We'll see if they'd keep Dante Pettis, but he's another player as well. Brendan Bates, I think he's a perfect practice squad candidate. Physical player, has shown some nice things. You could put him there. Bill Murray, the offensive lineman, has done some good things in camp. So has Doug Kramer. Kramer graded out well this past Saturday against the Bills, against, you know, third stringers mostly, but I think that's worth keeping around on a practice squad. It's nice having a guy who could call up in a pinch and play some center. Jake Curran is kind of a practice squad swing tackle type. Keith Randolph Jr., we haven't heard much about him in camp and in the preseason, but if they want to develop a local kid, I'd be cool with that. Daniel Hardy, thought about keeping him on the 53, but if not, I think him and Khalid Kareem could be practice squad guys. Adrian Colbert, he's on that bubble too. And then Leon Jones and Reddy Stewart, if they don't make the 53, would certainly like to keep them around and see if they can do something on the practice squad. All right, there you have it, my latest 53-man roster projection. We'll probably do one more of these before cut-down day. And then, of course, once the real roster comes out, we will react to that as well. My name is Harrison Graham. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and we'll see you guys soon. All right. There you have it. Who's a player on the bubble you guys want? Player on the bubble you guys want. Kevin White. Good times. Reddy Stewart.
Yeah, Ian Wheeler.
I'm rooting for Wheeler too, man. If I had to pick an offensive and defensive guy I'm rooting for, it's Wheeler and Baskerville. While I like what I saw from Wheeler, it's a crowded room and it was mostly in the fourth quarter of a preseason game. That's why, Colin, I I hope they give him some reps earlier in the next 2 games. See if he can do it with better competition. If he's breaking tackles against, twos, okay, that's showing me something. So we'll see. Ron says Valus. Parsons, just do it. We have trade for Micah. I mean, that'd be fun. That would be fun. All right. Fun show. Shout out to Horowitz for hopping on here. This was good stuff. Colin and I got to get out of here. Thanks to him for producing, figuring out the Zoom stuff. Shout out executive producer Jack for helping out with that as well. We'll have videos tomorrow, including Hard Knocks post-episode live stream from my house. I'll go live once again, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Probably 9 o'clock Central Time tomorrow night. So if you guys want to chop it up, talk a little Hard Knocks, we will do that. I'm out of here. Bear down. Peace.